Hello and welcome to this panel discussion. My name is Avinash Ramzan, and tonight we'll be discussing the Ghana Amazon Warriors campaign in the Hero CPL. Of course, their journey in the tournament ended last evening with defeat to Trinbago Knight Riders at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, and they're out of the competition literally because Trinbago Knight Riders have qualified for the final against the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots on Saturday. To discuss the team's performance, I have two gentlemen with me in the studio, my media colleagues. To my immediate right, Mr. Akeem Green of the Guyana Times TVG, and to his right, Royston Elkins, former national youth player, and he's with the Starbrook News. Let's get straight into the discussion, and let's review last night's game, Akeem. I know you would have been following that game quite keenly. The Amazon Warriors batting first, they struggled a bit, but ended up getting 58 of the last 4 overs, giving them a total of 159 for 6. And then going into the break with the momentum, picking up the wicket of the very first ball, Tanvir removing Narain. But then it went all downhill from there. Where did you think it went wrong in terms of the run chase and Guyana Amazon Warriors not pulling it off in the end?
I think the feeling, it was the first soap point. You just dropped Monroe so early innings. He was hardly at, I think, maybe like less than 20 runs. Two simple chances. And I think, if you got on Monroe at that stage, it would put a lot of pressure on the Trinidad team. Because the last 2 games they played, they lost chasing some low scores. And basically it was due to that top order failing. There's no more Brendan McCullum there. So I thought, those 2 catches that we put down early, it kind of set the tone for the rest of the game practically for them. Though despite the Rashid kind of game, he's been a real sensation for the Warriors. He bowled well. There was this whole a definite song to the game. There were some lapses in the field. It just progressed bad from those drop catches. And I think, they never really rebounded. There were some errors in terms of, how to use some bowlers. I thought, Jacob should have bowled more in the first 6. Even so, you could have did a bit of more rotation. I played Pormal, and then there was so much left-handers in the team. There was some bit critical stuff that, could have been done different. But I think, those catches that they put down really set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and there were basically 2 simple catches at that level of the game, at the international level basically. You're supposed to take those catches, Russian Primus at mid-off and then Riyad Emrit. But what changes would you have made in the bowling lineup up front, especially against 3 left-handers for Trinbago Knight Riders?
For me, looking at the pitch, given that the matches before there was a Jew factor, I would have went in with a spinnerless. There are a lot of left-handers in the Trinbago Knight Riders team. So I went gone horses for courses and give Keon Joseph a game. Maybe instead of actually Pormal. He was economical this season. I think he went for less than 7. But given who he was going to be opposed to, it would have been a tough battle. So I would have gone for Joseph. This pitch was a new one used, and it looked like they would take in a bit of a pace. If you look at the Knight Riders team, they went from Oseam in their bowling department, and it paid off. So I would have gone for Keon instead of Pormal. I think you had to play Jacobs given the left-handers. If needed be, Jason Mohammed, he's a good off spinner. He could have chipped in with some. And then I think they would have brought a balance to the team. And then you had the X factor of Joseph, to really press, Trinidad at the top.
And the other seam option would have been Kemo Paul, who could also offer
in the middle
with the bat as well as in the field. Royce, let me bring you in here because the Warriors lost 6 games, 5 out of the first 6 games, and had 5 wins on the trot after that. 5 must-win games, and they were successful in all those games. As someone who has played the game at the youth level for Guyana, how much of an impact do you think that might have had on the guys last night? Because obviously you're playing at a high level, mentally you could be drained. Do you think that might have been a factor last night?
I think not, because Guyana was in a desperate position, needing to win all the games to bring home the championship this year. I think credit has to go to guys like Chadwick Walton, Ronki, you mentioned Khan. These guys really stepped to the plate and performed credibly for Guyana. They earned the purse. In terms of being mentally drained, I don't think so. They're professionals. They ought to know how to conduct themselves at this level. You go through all the physical rigors. Mentally, I'm sure Roger Harper, he's an experienced coach there, managing and so on. So I don't think they were mentally drained. I just think a better team won last evening, despite you had the glitches in the field, the composition of the team and so on. But personally, I think the better team won. If you go a bit critical, I think they exceeded expectations really. When you look at the composition again of the team, guys like Guptill not bringing that X factor. Even though Rashid Khan he ended up finishing the tournament on a high. I really think he attended the party late. He wasn't so effective early on. So a lot of persons had doubts, and for me, looking at all of that, they exceeded expectations for me. I think it was a blunder not giving guys like Keon Joseph, Kimo Paul, and so on. More matches, in some cases a match in Keon Joseph's case, but they exceeded expectations to me, really.